is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Happy New Year! It's Bran, and I love Hallmark movies.
Happy New Year. I'm Dan, and I despise Hallmark movies.
Happy New Year. I'm Neal, and I'm in Hallmark movies.
And this is the deck. Oh, my bad. Sorry. He wasn't done.
That's right. And this is the Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Yeah!
Oh my gosh, it's a new year, new us, new
That's right.
set. Got a new set going on here.
Yeah, we do.
Got rid of the Christmas tree. Actually, all we did, everybody, spoiler alert, we just shifted the Christmas tree over.
It's still right there.
Right
It's
behind Dan's chair when he watches the movies. He's just going to be glowing in Christmas joy.
That's right.
Because I'm here all the time, and so I like the Christmas tree.
New year, new us, same bad intro
Yes.
where we somehow mess it up. And we've done 500 of these.
500.
We've never done a good intro.
No.
And Neal helped us out by pausing in between Hallmark movies and a gag movie.
You didn't help us. You weren't setting us up for success. Neal Bledsoe, first time on the podcast, a long-time listener, from what I understand.
That's right.
Favorite episode.
Favorite
What you got?
This one.
This one. Yeah.
That's the correct answer.
Probably
Probably
sound answer.
where you guys called me Sad Carousel Boy. That was probably my favorite.
You know, anytime we don't know an actor personally and we do a bit like we did with Sad Carousel Boy, we're always scared to reach out because it's like if they've listened. And then we were at Christmas Con and we had one of our listeners come over and go, I just met Neal Bledsoe. He would love the Sad Carousel Boy bit and he would be great on your show. We were like, well, that's it. We got to have him on the show. That's the end of that.
We
discussion.
got to recreate Sad Carousel Boy. It
Man,
was a great first impression. It was a moment of magic.
They call in the industry a meet cute.
Meet cute. That's what it was.
And it was hecka cute.
Hecka cute.
Hecka cute. That's exactly right. Happy New Year, Neal. Do you do New Year's resolutions? Can we get personal here? Do you got anything that you're trying to better yourself in this year, or are your New Year's resolutions to be worse?
I don't know. I start out pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
It's hard to really improve on. I don't know. I consider myself a generally pretty happy person, so I don't usually do the New Year's resolution. That feels like something that people in spin classes do.
That's right. I'm with Neal on this, and I give Bran a hard time. He's a spin class boy.
I don't do a lot of New Year's resolutions. I don't do a lot of
don't stop it.
What?
Since I've known you.
What do I do?
The best one though, Neal, was one year he said, I'm giving up fried food this year. No fried food. And he said, aside from wings at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Aside from wings at the Super Bowl. So we got together on January 1st. This was like 2015. We got together on January 1st to watch college football bowl games. And we're sitting there and he's eating chips and salsa. And I'm like, so the resolution's already over. And he's like, no, these are tortilla chips. They're not fried. He did not know that tortilla chips were fried corn.
They should put that in the name.
They shouldn't.
Fried corn chips?
Yeah. Fried corn chips. Yeah. Okay. But I, you know what? I think that was a good learning lesson because I don't do a lot of crazy ones.
It was one of them learning lessons.
You
don't. You're right.
I don't do a lot of crazy.
Is what Obama calls a teachable moment.
That's right. It was a teachable moment.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe I just shouldn't do this. Nikki Deloach posted a really great post yesterday where she said, "New year, new me." Not having that. I've worked pretty hard to get to the me that I am now.
That's what I'm talking
I'm just going to try to get a little bit better, but same me. Like I'm not trying to start over. This is
same me.
Years of work here. So
I'm brave. I'm free. It's who I'm supposed to be.
There's a lot of social pressure to feel like you're some sort of chrysalis turning into a butterfly each year.
That's right.
Yeah.
No.
Spain is that chrysalis.
Mm-hmm.
I am turning 30 on Monday.
That's right.
So that's I do feel like I should have some things together in my life and I don't, and that's okay.
I mean, you got a wife and kids.
I got a wife and but
you do podcasts for a living.
Yeah. And a thriving business. And I bought my third beach house. So yeah, but
third beach house.
But listen,
really, how much money are we making that I don't know about around here?
It's been a good day. It's been a good day.
Well, maybe the better question was which bank is loaning to him.
That's right.
That's right. We don't, credit cards, guys. Right. It's free money.
Subprime.
Free money,
baby.
Some moron said, "Hey, here's a $20,000 limit. You moron. Have fun." Neal, let's dive into life. You are an adult now, but at one point you were not. So let's go back there and find out who you were as a kid, where you grew up, and when you first started to kind of tickle the idea of acting.
How big of an impact? Relative quarterback Drew Bledsoe had on your life?
Yeah,
I would like to know that as well.
Absolutely. Well, good football question. All right. So I was born in Toronto, but I spent all of 3 months of my life there and moved back to Seattle pretty quickly after. So
Okay.
I'm a dual citizen, which for some reason the internet thinks I'm from Canada, although I'm not.
Okay.
I grew up in Seattle, and all of my family were University of Washington fans until the one day that I saw the Apple Cup and I saw I saw the name Bledsoe on the back of a Wazoo jersey, and I was like, "Who's that?" Now the story goes that I think Drew Bledsoe was actually from the more sophisticated, wealthier side of my family. Like my side of the family, we're all like pirates and ne'er-do-wells. That part of the family, they were like senators. I mean, you look at what Drew Bledsoe's done after he retired from football. He started his own winery. I mean, it's like bougie stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that I think I started lying and telling people that we were like first cousins when I was maybe 12. Like I would wear the jersey. And
You gotta.
He's your cousin, right?
Come on.
And then there was one magical day when I was about 35 that he followed me on Instagram. And oh yeah. Do you guys know? Did you see the movie with Candace Cameron and John Brotherton this year?
Yes, the Christmas contest.
John Brotherton is actually Drew Bledsoe's cousin by marriage. And he came up to me, like we were at a test in like years ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago. He was like, so I got to ask you, are you Drew Bledsoe's cousin? And I was like, all right. It was like I had finally come clean of it. Like I had been able to get the lie off my chest. And it was, thank God I did it to him, because he was like, oh, because I'm actually his first cousin. I was like, you've lived the life I always told people I would.
That's right.
Thank you.
But did you actually switch to being a Washington State fan instead of Washington? Because of that?
I don't know. I'm kind of a free agent. I guess so. But then, not really. And then there's the Mike Leach days and the Air Raid days. The Ryan Leaf days were hard for me. You know, they were really, really good, but it's hard to.
A lot about Ryan Leaf has been hard for Ryan Leaf. So, you know. And that's,
yeah, right. And I'm friends with Ryan Leaf's brother, oddly enough, who's also an actor here. It's a very strange, twisted life.
I do want to hear more about your childhood, but I have a question. You know, part of Hallmark's deal is they get a tax break if one of the leads is Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
You are American, but technically also dual citizen. Do they get that tax break with you, or do you know that information?
You better believe it, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
So that's Runaway Productions, which is what a lot of TV movie the weeks are. Rely heavily on that structure, right?
Yeah.
So that is how they get tax breaks for everybody number 2 on down. If they're Canadian, they'll get a huge tax break for them. So it's like, you guys remember the SNL skit where they say the Canadian handsome Chris Bearstick?
Of course.
Well, there's a reason that he's Canadian handsome. And so I guess I'm dual handsome, maybe.
So you're American but Canadian handsome.
But
I'm
Canadian handsome, exactly.
I love it.
It was 3 months total in Canada. Is that correct?
3 months total, and it's been nice for my
man. That's the way to do it, right there.
I mean,
right?
Man, it's
exactly. I'm an anchor baby. Just
that's what I was gonna say. You beat me to it.
Wow,
he's a Canadian handsome anchor baby.
That is fantastic.
It's unbelievable.
Man, good on you.
That's the title of your memoir, and I just gave it to you for free.
Absolutely. I'm changing my bio on Instagram right now.
As you should. Yeah. So back to childhood.
So where'd you go to school? You were in Seattle?
Yeah, I went to school in Seattle. I went to probably umpteen thousand different schools. Ended up going to 4 or 5 different high schools.
Wow!
Did you just get kicked out a bunch? Were you throwing bows?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Was it fighting?
Graduate my first senior year. No. Wasn't even anything that interesting. It was just kind of being a general kind of, I don't know. I just wasn't going to school. I don't think I was all that interested in it, and it was the best thing for me. I had to watch every single person I knew in high school graduate without me.
Wow.
And so like I was kind of faced with this choice of whether I was gonna, I don't know, join the military or go get a GED, and so I went away to boarding school, and I got my one pet trick is I was really good at history, actually. So I was so far ahead of my history class that I was actually teaching the unit on the Eastern Front of the Second World War to my history class.
Oh my gosh.
Which won me no friends. And
Right.
And
Oh,
I was able.
You mean Neal, the guy that skipped school and is the delinquent, but owns us all in history? How did you not have friends, Neal?
It was this weird sort of like my brother's a historian and my dad's a historian.
Wow.
So I just grew up listening to those stories, and for whatever reason, that like the why of history and the cause and effect of it just sticks in my head. So I was gonna go to university, but the only reason I could think to go was to join a fraternity and like just drink away 4 years of my life. Go to Wazoo essentially.
Yes,
And,
yeah, you get it.
And I thought I should have a better reason for it, so I ended up going to my third high school for senior year. And I did a postgraduate year at this place called Idlewild School of the Arts, and it was the first place that I was like acting and writing. It was the first place I got poems published. It was the first place that was like a professional place that I knew I was any good at it. And then the next year, I went to a theater school down in North Carolina.
Winston-Salem, baby.
No, really quick. Going back to the high school that you went to for when doing the things. Where did you act and do those things because it was a requirement as a part of being in that school?
Which school?
The Idlewild.
The Idlewild, yeah.
No, Idlewild is an art school.
Okay. Like so how did you had you ever acted before then?
Kind of. Like I was always essentially like the new kid. You know, I was always like in a new place, new spot. So what I would do is I'd basically watch and live in color because I didn't have much structure at home, and then like I'd repeat it verbatim to my grade school class and do like Fire Marshal Bill or Caddyshack or something like that. And I think that kind of got me into this mode where I would just kind of perform for people. And for whatever reason, I would I did like a handful of school plays and things like that, but I wasn't like a child performer or anything.
I got you. Now, I back real quick. This is fascinating, and we could probably do a few hours on this, and I know we don't have that time. But your parents, did they sit you down and go, "Hey, you got to go to boarding school"? Was that the deal? They sat down and like, "Look, you got to be sent away to like get this under control," or what?
No, I was actually kidnapped in the middle of the night.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Well, not the middle of the night. I mean, it was like something out of a Wes Anderson film. I was like, I was in.
Was everything like a pinkish yellow hue, basically?
Kind of a little bit. Everything was very neatly organized. It was very OCD friendly.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not like. Maybe it was more like Harold and Maude a little bit. But
okay, all right.
There was something about it. Like I was listening to Cat Stevens' Father and Son when I get this like knock on my door, and my mom opened the door and there's like these two officers from Idaho. These guys are going to take you to this place called Ascent. And I flew with them to this essentially like outward bound like camp in the middle of nowhere for like Paris Hilton went to this place. Like it was kind of like for bad kids that needed.
Wow.
I went and I was maybe 6 weeks shy of my 18th birthday, and everybody in high school was like, "Where did Neal go?" I was just like, basically what the CIA does to people. I was like black-sided to Idaho by my parents.
What?
But it was the best possible thing.
This is unreal. What did your parents do for a living that they could afford something like this?
My dad didn't really do much. It was hard financially, I think.
Okay.
It wasn't the easiest. It wasn't kind of like a financial afterthought or a rounding error. It's like, hey, let's send Neal to boarding school. Where did Neal go? My God, let's send him away.
Go to the back room and get the wad of cash we have for boarding school.
Exactly. No, not that one. The other one.
That's right. You know the one.
What was your initial reaction when you get the knock?
I don't know. I was like oddly kind of calm about it. It was like I think it was a strange experience because like I had always wanted to act, right? And I had always wanted to be in performing arts. But I think when you grow up in a kind of a small town like that, or like Seattle sometimes kind of feels like a small town, it feels as if you can't do the things that you maybe want to do inside, right? Like there's this social pressure to conform to what everybody else is doing. And I think I fell into that trap, and I was like, all my great ambition through high school was to drink as much as I could and sleep with whoever I could, you know? And so like, that's kind of what I was doing. But in the back of my mind, it was like, this is a pretty dead life. There's a dead end to this. Right. And at the end of that, I think I just kind of knew I needed to get out and I needed to escape. So when these guys showed up, I was like, part of me was like, thank God. Thank God that this thing could actually like get to, I don't know, just like to have an interruption to that. And it was, I think, the best possible thing. I couldn't see it at the time, but like in hindsight, it was instrumental.
So what got you all the way across the country to Winston-Salem? Were you just looking for a good school for the arts, and that's the one you found?
Yeah. So I went to Idlewild, and that was the first time that I was like acting like regularly in plays and things like that. But I still didn't know how good I was at it, and I went to this thing called the Unified Auditions in Chicago, which is like every theater school, everybody that wants to be an actor from all over the country. For like a week, they go to the Palmer House Hilton in Chicago, and they audition for every theater school in the country, maybe some ones in Canada, maybe some of the British ones. But I auditioned at like 20 different schools, and I was just like, I didn't know how good I was at it or anything. So I got waitlisted at Carnegie Mellon. I blew my Juilliard audition immediately. And then I got into North Carolina School of the Arts. But there was kind of a part of it where I just kind of stopped pretending to be anybody but myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's what got me into the school. And then that was the first place that I really kind of learned what the craft of this is. Is like, you can be on set and you can make stuff up. And like, I can't come from an improv background, but that was the first place that I learned what the actual work of it was.
When you got to Winston-Salem and you got your first Krispy Kreme Hot and Now donut, what was that experience like?
It wasn't that. It was the In-N-Out that I got. That was what changed my life.
Really?
With like, with the watermelon shakes. I think that was the.
You mean Cookout, not In-N-Out?
Cookout, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Cookout.
Yeah.
So I was about to say,
Cookout
will do that too.
Cookout is our In-N-Out. In-N-Out's West Coast. Cookout is our deal over here,
exactly.
On the East Coast. And you like that more than the Krispy Kreme. That's a North Carolina. I love the Krispy Kreme Hot and Now. I like Cookout too.
Now, what is the Krispy Kreme Hot Now? I'm not a big donut guy. So.
Okay, so the Krispy Kreme's entire thing is their regular donuts are fine, but they have a conveyor belt where they make the donuts in house, and there's a glaze waterfall, and it literally, the hot fried donut goes under the glaze, and then they pull it off the belt, and the donut literally melts in your mouth. Like if you try to pick it up, it kind of like gives. Yeah. You could,
and they have a sign on the outside, and when it's glowing red and it says "Hot Now," that's when you know.
That's when you know. If the Hot Now sign's not glowing, you can't get them fresh. And you can only get them Hot Now like 3 times a day. And so when you get it,
what are the hours? Are the hours pretty regular for the Hot Nows?
No.
You never know.
You never know.
Or do you have like a live cam on a Krispy Kreme?
Dude, when that light is on, like the line's wrapped around the block. It's wild.
Oh, wow.
It's great. Well, you got to
remember, like In-N-Out, or excuse me,
Cookout.
Krispy Kreme had those lines around the block. I think that first opened anyway, right? Was that from the Hot Nows?
Yeah, the Hot Now is what people care about.
But Cookout's great.
Cookout is wonderful.
Because Cookout, you can get so much food for so cheap. And you feel like you're you're doing something illegal, which you might be.
But the thing that I loved about Cookout were the July and August, they had the watermelon milkshakes.
Yeah, and then they also do a chocolate chip cookie dough milkshake, only seasonal as well. That's really good. But the watermelon milkshake is a very distinct part of the South. Like that's like I've never seen that anywhere else but here.
No. But it's something that the South should export to everywhere else as well.
Now, your Southern experience might have been a little bit different because you went to an art school, but was there some sort of culture shock at all going from Seattle to North Carolina?
Yeah, I think it was the first time that I'd seen. It was the first time that I'd seen segregation. I think it was the first time that I'd seen institutionalized racism rather than the kind of and that exists in Seattle, but it's just very different. It was the first time that I'd seen some of the things that I've been reading about in books.
Yeah. The difference, and this is purely historical, like that was built in Seattle. It was in the soil in the Carolinas. You know what I mean? So that's just different. So what's your first like either first paying gig, or if not paying gig, your first memorable, acting gig as what you would consider a professional actor, where you thought, okay, I'm an actor. Like I can do this for a living.
I booked my first job 30 days out of school.
Wow.
So it was a lead in a pilot for Lifetime called The Hunters, and we were like a super secret family of spies that were going after people. Kelly Lynch played my mom. Callum Keith Rennie played my dad. It was that was the first time that I felt like I was like, oh wow, I can actually do this, and people are actually going to hire me.
Fantastic. Did you do the classic actor thing where you were like bartending to make ends meet at any point, or were you just straight actor?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because right after The Hunters happened, I was convinced I was going to be famous, and so I went out and bought a bunch of furniture, as you do. Because anytime they give a 24-year-old a bunch of money, you're just going to spend it all on.
That's
food.
right.
And I was like, I think I bought a Noguchi table. And I was like, clearly, I've made it.
You've arrived.
Guys.
You've
arrived. You
arrived.
See my triangular glass table? I've made it. So and then I didn't work for like a year and a half, and I became
That'll get you
with a very nice table.
Were you?
Where were you waiting? Is it a place we would have heard of? Like, is it like
No. I was waiting tables at this place called Northwest, which was on 79th and Columbus, that I think was a front for mob money.
Fair enough.
And it was. I think the first day I got there, I was trailing this guy from New Zealand. It was this beautiful day on the Upper West Side. It's right across from the Natural History Museum. We were sitting up outside and we were watching everybody kind of going by, and this guy was maybe the bitterest person I'd ever met in my life. And like people from New Zealand are what Canadians are to us.
That's right.
New Zealand's are to people from Australia. So this guy was the bitterest person I'd ever met. Kind of piqued my curiosity a little bit, and then I saw it was actually this place that was making me better. So we were outside watching everybody go by, and this woman comes by with her little dog, and the dog pees on the partition. It's this beautiful day in August. Everybody's sitting out on the sidewalk. Dog pees on the partition, and the guy starts cursing at her. He's like, why did you let your dog do that? How in the hell could you let your dog do that? And she's like, I'm sorry, he has a weak bladder. And she walks away. So he goes downstairs, and he gets like a little bucket of stuff to clean it up, and he kind of splashes the water. Now, somebody has told the chef downstairs, this guy named Pep, and Pep comes up with this like slopping blue bucket and like tosses it over the area of pee and makes a far bigger mess than was there to begin with. And so the New Zealand waiter starts to yell at him. It's like, why the hell did you do that, Pep? Nobody asked you to do that. Why did you do that? Nobody asked you to do that. Pep locks eyes with me and says, nobody asked me to kill kids in Lebanon in 1982. And without another word, goes back inside and goes downstairs back into like his little spider hole. And it was like, oh, wow. Okay, this is where I'm working.
Pep turn around and just go shh when he walked down the stairs? Dear gracious.
Now, the weird thing was, I don't think Pep was old enough to kill kids in Lebanon in 1982. He was like a solid 10 years too young for that. Yeah, but that whole place was Looney Tunes. There was a guy that would come in with call girls all the time and like just sit down and have steak dinners. And these like girls kind of boredly picking at a salad, and I'd be sitting there, and he'd go, "Oh, Neal, you're a gentleman of the theater. What should Svetlana and I see this evening?" Like, I don't know, maybe the Lion King. And he started this. Oh man, he started this club because it was like right during the Iraq War, and he was like, everybody that came into this place would think that the Iraq War was going really, really well, and they just needed to start a club that was going to tell people that it was going really well, and that Bush was getting a hard time. So this guy who started this, he had like a trust fund that his mom would give him money, but he was like solidly like 49 years old, and he looked a little bit like Pavarotti, and so he started this club for all of his buddies that would come in. One of the guys was a dead ringer for John Bolton, and they'd sit there and they go like, oh, this war is going much better than people give it credit for. But eventually he was spending so much money, and I think his mom told him that he had to end his club at 49 years old. So he told his buddies, and they got in a silverware fight with each other in the middle of the restaurant. The guy gets banned for life. And so one day I'm back out watching the street, greeting people, saying, check out our wine list. And I see the guy wearing a neck brace on crutches sort of going by on the opposite side of the street, hoping that we'll see him and invite him back in and end his band's
Good
life.
gracious.
Yeah.
What?
Wow.
I just want to hear just stories from Northwest is what I
you
want to
need
hear.
you should have just kept that job like one day a week,
but
just for the stories.
Let me ask you this.
I need to know where Pep is now.
Yeah, I need to know about Pep for sure. I need to know how much of Pep you use in some of your roles. Like, is that Sad Boy Prince? Was that a little Pep in there?
Was a little Pep?
In
Is Pep your
step?
inspiration?
Sad Boy Prince, I think, was mostly Peter O'Toole and Hugh Grant.
Of course, yeah.
And a little Pep.
There was a lot of Hugh Grant. In fact, I think I may have mentioned that in the podcast that had a Hugh Grant flair to it. How long? You said you had that job for a year and a half. Was there any point where you were like, I'm not getting another job ever again. I got to sell my cool table.
I had that job for maybe 6 months.
Oh, okay. I thought you said a year and a half. Okay.
It was a terrible,
suffocating
universe that I needed to remove myself from its orbit. So after that, I was doing catering work, and I always thought like the thing about catering work is you could essentially walk out at the end of the night with a lot of liquor bottles and champagne. Like it's like, oh, I guess these things were drank, and that would pay you a little bit more, and the hours were more flexible. And then I started working for this company, I think called Poshability, or maybe Model Bartenders or something like that. And I was like, it was me as an actor, and I had never modeled before until I did that Tiffany's ad. But it was me with a bunch of like out of work models, like serving drinks at parties in New York City. It was a very strange life. And I think one of my gigs, I was just a handsome couple at the opening of the W Hotel in Hoboken or something. It was a very, very, very strange.
You have a list of jobs here that sound like Stefan from SNL on a skit. Like that's what it sounds
basically.
like.
Yeah, exactly.
So
New
did
York's
you?
hottest club.
That's right. Is North
bartender.
New York's hottest club is Northwest. There's Pep.
Yes.
You're gonna love Pep.
He killed kids in Lebanon before he was alive.
Yeah. He killed kids out of the womb. Oh my god.
You're just gonna take all of it out. Just take the whole thing. So have you been stationed in New York ever since? Are you a New York boy now? That's what you are?
Yeah, I've been in and out. I was in California for I think I moved there in 2013, convinced I could go get my own action figure. And then it was weird, man. Like I told you I booked that pilot, right? And that is like the golden ring that all these actors are trying to chase. You know, it's like your agents are telling you, you've got to book this pilot. Because as soon as you book a pilot like that, you're on the list for every other network and everybody's trying to get you in for pilot stuff. And suddenly you go from the guy that's like going to play banker number 2 who's being arrested saying, call my lawyer. You go to like the lead of the show to like, you know, Detective Handsome Pants or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing was I kept booking pilots, and I was kind of convinced that, you know, as soon as I book a pilot that goes to series, then I'll be George Clooney, and then I'll go do whatever movies I want to do, right? But I still wanted to write a bunch, and finally that happened. I finally booked the pilot, and I realized how much I actually didn't like the process of shooting a network show.
Okay.
I was like, I loved the money, but what I really loved was the research, and it was the show about cops. And I got to, you've heard of a ride along, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So they take you on a ride.
I saw the movie with
the Ice
Cube,
Kevin Hart.
Yeah. So I'm aware.
It kind of feels like you're on a bit of a safari, right? You get these cops that are telling you to keep your hands and your legs inside the vehicle at all times, but they're trying to show you this they're trying to show you kind of a very curated version of what police work looks like. So I gave myself permission to just ask any idiotic question I could. And finally, I got this one detective who said, look, if you really want to know what it's like, I will take you out on a case, but you can't tell your producers. Ooh. And he was this guy, he was maybe like a year or two from retirement. He was a first grade detective in the NYPD. And so he takes me on a case, and he's working on a cold case up in the Bronx. And he takes me to interview this woman that had witnessed a murder like 25 years ago. And I was seeing the way that he was interacting with his partner, crossing the street, or like in a Dominican chicken joint. There were like fascinating parts about it that when it came time to make that show, we weren't doing, right? We were just kind of doing like, there's that thin line between law and order, you know, and it was kind of boring, right? I loved making a show, but like what we were actually telling was kind of boring. So the show gets canceled, and I was like, what do I want to do? And I had enough money in my bank account for the first time that I didn't have to go get other jobs. And I said to myself, all right, I'm going to give myself permission to be an artist this year. And I went and did three plays in rep at the Mercator Theater in Jersey. I wrote and directed my first short. I did this art project in Switzerland, and I started writing for Sports Illustrated. And I wrote this essay that was going to show up on Facebook, and I was like, I think I was buying booze in a Costco parking lot with my buddy, and I was like, hey, can I read this to you? And I read him this essay about the futility of belief in sports, but why that lie is beautiful. And he was like, that's great, man. What are you going to do with it? I was like, I don't know. I'll put it on Facebook. And he was like, you're dumb. Like, just send that in to ESPN or Sports Illustrated. And so I did, cleaned it up. I heard back in 2 hours, and I started writing for Sports Illustrated. And
wow.
I had no idea.
Yeah. I actually quit acting full time in 2015 for a year to try out for the LA Kiss, which was an arena team owned by the band Kiss. And I just wanted to kind of explore some other things.
Arena football?
Yeah.
What position?
Wide receiver.
Really?
Yeah,
6 years ago?
It was 35. Yeah.
I was about to say.
You never played football before?
I never played football before in my life.
Based upon IMDb, you're a year older than me, Neal, and you tried out in 2015. I would have broken down at 2015. Are you kidding me?
I tried out for him. I ended up spending a lot of time with him. I wasn't good enough to make the team. I mean, spoiler alert. But part of it was I was fascinated by these guys that were like 26 and these guys are like, they're told that they can't do the thing that they love at 26 years. And I was like seeing all these people in LA that were doing that same thing. And yet these guys are like grinding and like they're working Uber shifts between practices and things like just sustaining this dream one more day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but you've got a hard out at 26. You're done, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to make it back to the NFL.
Yep.
And there was something about the delusion of belief in themselves that they were all going to be Kurt Warner that felt very akin to like everybody that I was like, because every actor I know is kicking, moving the goalposts a little
That's
bit.
right.
It's like, well, Paul Newman didn't make it until he was 30, until you get to like James Cromwell, where you're like, James Cromwell didn't make it until like 60.
Yeah.
And that becomes, that was kind of that was the...
So was that what your essay was about? Because it just seems like there's a clear correlation. Was that the essay that you sent to Sports Illustrated?
No. The essay that I wrote for Sports Illustrated was this. It was about the Seahawks, and I grew up a Seahawks fan. There was a year we went to the Super Bowl, and it was about how your life isn't really going to change no matter what happens. On the Monday following Super Bowl Sunday, there's this illusion that your life is going to be that much better, and it's just a lie. It's dumb, right? But it's that communal belief in that betterment that is what sports is. It's the bread and circuses effect, I think. There's like, I was just watching, have you guys seen the movie Hand of God?
Yeah.
Sorrentino movie? So there's that moment, right, where Maradona scores and literally all of Naples is like cheering, and that is sports.
Yes.
I mean, there are very few things that can kind of unite us like that in joy the way that sports.
I just want to be best friends with Neal Bledsoe. Can I say that right now? Like history, sports. This guy, he's speaking my love language.
So the LA Kiss.
Yeah.
Is an arena foot.
We have gone far afield.
Yeah, you just talked about like foreign film and history, and Brand just doesn't care.
So Kiss, the rock and roll band.
Has an arena league football team.
When did they start? Because I remember this happening vaguely.
The LA Kiss, they started. So the arena. Just a quick history lesson about the arena.
Please do. Thank you.
It's been around in some way, shape, or form since 1987.
Wow.
They went dark for 1 year, but in every year,
they went dark. Where'd they go?
Kiss went dark.
That's classic Kiss.
It was the recession actually, and they couldn't pay their players anymore.
Oh, gosh.
So they went dark in 1 year in 2009, and I think it was 2008 or 2009, and the salaries plummeted from like $80,000 a year to play football to like $200 a game. And so Kiss came back in, and they kind of saw this opportunity, I think, to reinvent their brand, to piggyback on something else. I mean, they're like, look, Kiss will say this themselves. It's like they're kind of musicians second, and they're branding superstars first, right? It's like you look at the lunch boxes, the pinball games, and they were doing that with the LA Kiss. So I think that started
like us,
in 2013, 2012. And they like came out with a reality show on AMC. They thought that they were going to reinvent football, and so they wanted to have these like rock concert like atmospheres that were happening in the middle of the arena games. But the audience for arena is pretty similar, I think, to a lot of Hallmark. It's very family friendly, right? And so a lot of the people that were coming to these games didn't really react well to the strippers being suspended on the poles from the top of the Honda Center, which was, just odd. So the year I actually spent with them, Kiss blew the whole team up, and they're like they played their one and only playoff game because they lost the Honda Center to the Circus. They had to play their one and only playoff game that they lost down in San Diego, and then Kiss ended the team by telling all the people on a Facebook message that the team was going to go defunct. And then they came out with their next product, which I thought was brilliant. It was Kiss branded air guitar strings. And for $5.99, you got a paper label and an empty plastic bag. And it was just like, that is Kiss.
That's how you know.
That is Kiss.
Man.
I just watched the Kurt Warner film, and the best part of it for me was the arena football stuff because it was so fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
And the best part is when he scores his first touchdown in arena football, and he goes over and his coach hands him a $100 bill. He's like, I get paid per touchdown. And he's like, yeah, you didn't read your contract. And so then he went out and he proceeded to
time out. I've not seen this film. The coach in the game. That's the dumbest thing. There's no way that actually happened.
He did get.
Time out. I don't think that. I've actually spoken to Kurt Warner. I don't think that happened.
I don't think it happened like that, but but he did get
some liberties were taken.
He did get bonuses for the amount of touchdowns that he threw.
Checks
but he wasn't handing him $100 bills in the middle of the game.
No.
Let me put that in my pocket.
Go buy you something nice. Go talk to Pep downstairs.
Exactly. It's just like he's like a guy in a mink coat. It's like, hey, go buy your wife something nice, huh? Score those touchdowns. You guys know Todd Marinovich?
You do not. I do.
No, I don't know.
Todd Marinovich was like the quarterback of his generation. His dad was like, he was supposed to be the golden boy. He was like left-handed. His dad was a strength coach for the Raiders. He still holds, I think, the record for most touchdowns in a game for the Arena League. It was like 10 touchdowns or 12 or something like that while he was suffering through heroin withdrawals.
Yeah.
It was that kind of league. So like, the fact that somebody's handing $100 bills to somebody.
Oh, you want to give me money for the touchdowns? Okay.
Turns out it wasn't for touchdowns.
So let me ask you this.
Going back real quick though, my favorite thing, because you wanted to give me the title to my memoir. Gene Simmons already gave it to me. Which is when he met me, he said, well, you're a very attractive man of great sexual power. And I was like, just flabbergasted. Like, thanks, Gene.
If Gene says it, it must be true.
It is true. Yeah.
That guy.
You can't trust him. Did he know you were Canadian, though? If he had known that, maybe there would have
changed everything.
I ask everybody that comes on our show this, and I feel like you might have a good one, or maybe, you always crushed your auditions. But my question is, every actor we have on here says, look, we go on hundreds of these auditions, you're hopeful to land 1 out of 100. Do you have a memorably bad audition? Like an all-timer, just like
an all-timer. Yeah, absolutely.
Walk out the door and just be like, what just happened?
I mean, there are the countless tests that I've walked into where you're supposed to be doing a comedy test, and every Fox executive is just stone-faced, like you've just actively depressed the room. There's that. There's the fights that I've got 2. I'll give you 2. So one of them was because the one kind of pissed me off a little bit because I was actually on Law and Order SVU at the time. And I was playing a detective. I was CSU detective Clifton Montgomery. And
you were.
It was a paycheck job. I'd come in and go, hey, okay, the guy was killed over there. I got some land on it, blah, blah, blah. See you next week. Just make sure the check clears. It was that kind of job, right? So Chris Maloney was leaving the show at the end of that year. And they called me in to be his replacement, for an audition. I was going to meet the producers, and I called my agents. I was like, well, they know I've been on the show, right? My agent's like, yeah. They know. They've prepped him, but you weren't in a lot, and they figured they can kind of make this work. So I was like, all right, well, I guess it's just going to be a continuation of my character. And I come in, and I do my audition, and it's like I think the guy is kind of like Edmund Exley from LA Confidential. Like, he uses his brain more than his brawn, right? It's like the opposite of Chris Maloney. So I go in and I do that, and I can see the producer is like visibly upset by my audition. He keeps doing like the and finally I get done. And he's like Neal, have you ever played a cop before? And I'm like, yes. Internally, I'm like boiling, and I say, yes, on your show. And it changes the whole temperature of the room. And he looks to the casting director. He's like, well, no, it was just for no. I stop, and I'm like, no, it was for 3 episodes. And you guys kept calling me back in for more, and I had to go do something else. Want me to do it again? Yeah.
Oh boy.
I mean, I was gonna say maybe like, toughen up, but I actually love what you did. I was like, okay, so just stronger, faster, better than before. Yeah. Okay, I go in, and then I do my second scene, and the producer says, now I recognize you, and I'm like, thanks very much. Good luck.
Yeah. We'll see you guys. We'll see. We will never see you again, ever.
Yes.
And then the other. Go ahead.
Well, so then the other one was I walked into this theater audition, and I couldn't wrap my mind around it. It was a Broadway play with David Hyde Pierce, and the whole thing felt like a Frank Capra movie. It was like this character was kind of like, well, I like a woman that you meet, you settle down, you have kids. Am I right or am I right? Well, sure, I'm right. It was very like earnest, and I just couldn't get Jimmy Stewart's voice out of my head.
Oh no!
So I walk in, and I like see the director,
the
reader. And I walk in, and I'm the last person of the day. I'm like, okay, guys, so I made a choice. Kind of big choice. I've chosen something bad. Just tell me and I'll choose something different. So I get in, and I'm like, well, I like a woman that you meet, you settle down, you have kids. Am I right or am I right? Well, sure, I'm right. I get done. I think for sure the director's going to stop me. I get done. He just like looks at me through his glasses and like, Jimmy Stewart, huh? And I was like, yeah, I couldn't get the voice out of my head. And the whole room laughed. I'm like, oh, I've made friends with everybody. They're going to I've got this job in my back pocket. And he says, thank you. And I look like I'm on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I look down the line to the casting director. I'm like, well, I got to use my lifeline here. She's like, thank you. And I look to the reader who goes like, and I do my second impression of the day, which is Axl Rose crab walking. So those were my.
Did you at Christmas Con? Did you meet Christopher Palaha by any chance?
I did. Yeah, we figured out that I'm taller than Christopher Palaha.
Yeah, you guys are. It's very close. And Chris. He's been in so many Hallmark movies that he likes to wrinkle the page quite a bit. Like his goal is to put something on camera for 2 days that they can't afford to take back. And he did a movie where he does a Jimmy Stewart impression as the lead character for the whole movie. And in a Hallmark movie, called, Small Town Christmas.
It's a subtle Jimmy. It's not
full to 10, but it's like 4 or 5 Jimmy Stewart, and it is a clear.
But he tells the story of his director. He would do a scene, and his director would like do a little dial back, dial it down just a smidge, smidge less Jimmy. But if you watch it and you know that.
But what I was thinking is that that's the only network that I know of that would welcome a Jimmy Stewart impression. Like Hallmark's like, sure, go for it. Everybody else is like, what are you doing?
Don't you do it?
right.
Yeah.
Dear God, no.
Yeah.
Now, Dan was saying before we started here that you remind him of Armie Hammer.
I looked at your IMDb picture, and your IMDb picture looks like you're glancing off to the side like you know some secret that's going to change the world forever.
Which is totally on brand.
Which is very on brand.
I mean, have you heard about Pep?
Pep. He's thinking about Pep here is what he's doing.
Oh, 100%.
He's like, that son of a gun.
Wait, show me the picture. Which one is it?
I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
Yeah. No, that's the interior of my book jacket.
Yeah, you got a little red.
There it is right there. Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah. And he's off to the side, and he's like, man, I know something that if I told people, crap would hit the fan for sure. But also you have a resemblance here to Armie Hammer, which is a little disconcerting. Have you ever tried to eat someone?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right. Good.
As I told you at the break, the Burning Man was kind of a strange time.
Yeah.
So,
As you would imagine. Yep.
No, I've never tried to eat anyone. Thank God. I lost a job to Army Hammer though.
Okay.
When I was first starting out, and I was on this. It was on the show for the CW about models playing a Russian mobster, which is another story entirely.
Yeah, that sounds authentic.
Like, let's pull that thread. Yeah, exactly. Let's find the waspiest person we can. And I had lost a job maybe 6 months before that playing a Spanish royal on Gossip Girl that it finally went to Army Hammer, and it was like. And so I was complaining about it to a producer after this show about models got canceled. And he was like, do you know who that is? Army Hammer. Armand Hammer. And it was like he was trying to lift back the veil to show me that, like, nothing is by chance. He was doing the side eye kind of. I know secrets that you don't even know.
You don't even know about Army Hammer.
Because he was like, oh no, it's Arm and Hammer. Because he was like Armand Hammer, Arm and Hammer. He was like murder boarding the whole thing about Army Hammer.
There's yarn.
That's right. Exactly. Strings everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, man. Little did he know.
So how do we get to Hallmark? Like, how do we get?
Oh, really quickly before Hallmark, I just want to bring up a quick short that I see on your IMDb, which is The Walking Dead, which is a short. Apparently, it's not The Walking Dead; it's The Walking Dead.
Is The Walking Dead?
What is this?
So, what happens is that everybody is bitten with this need to do an impression of Christopher Walken, and that's what happens. It's buddies of mine at Point Pack did a spoof when I think The Walking Dead first started.
Really?
And that's really the plot.
That's really the plot of the.
It's a sketch, so it's not a short film.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you got to do the Walken impression in it, I assume.
Yeah, which I think was the first thing that really endeared my father and my brother to my choice of careers. When I could do a Christopher Walken impression on my trips home for Christmas.
That's
right. Yeah, I guess
he actually he walked into the Walking Dead shoot and he said, "Guys, I've made a choice.
I've made a choice here. Jimmy Stewart
doing Walken."
So
wow, two mice fall in a fucking plane. One mouse he gives up, he drowns.
Hey, it works better. It works better than you might have thought.
That is like just a blender of accent that I just don't know if I want to hear again.
God.
That's fantastic. Do you
get ready for next year's Christmas movie?
Yeah. Oh, Chris Pollock can do Jimmy
Walking
Stewart.
in a Winter Wonderland.
There it is. There's the title. So you've been on a lot of TV shows, 1, 2, 3 episodes in series. What is your most? How about this? Everybody always says every cast and crew they work for is the best ever. We're like a family. It's so wonderful. And we all know that that's not true. People are just being nice so they'll get more jobs in Hollywood, and that's fine. My question is, which of these cast and crews was legitimately the best that you worked for? Like, of all these TV shows you got to be a part of for 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes, which of them did you go on the set and you're like, man, these people are just above and beyond?
Guys, I'm here to burn bridges. So
that's what I'm talking about. Oh, tell me the worst then. Tell me the worst one.
No, the best. You know, I have 2 things that really kind of stand out in my mind. One is when I got hired on Ugly Betty, Judith Light called me before I even showed up. She was playing my mom on the show. And she called me a few days before we shot our first scene. And we had a conversation for like 90 minutes about what it was. You know, we just talked and got to know each other. And it was so gracious. And it was something like that nobody else really does. Because being a guest on a lot of these shows is like, you're showing up, nobody really cares who you are. They want you to hit your mark. I think Chris Maloney, the first time I looked at him, said like, you know your lines? You know where your mark is? And I'm like, yeah. Okay. And like a lot of shows have that kind of reputation, right? And I don't think Chris is a bad guy. Just like he's been talking about like murder for the last 17 years and wanted to like know he was going to go home on time. So like these shows kind of like people can allow themselves to get a bit petty on these things. So when you run into somebody like Judith, who's so gracious, who's so welcoming, and that really sets a tone for everybody else. And then the second one was, there on every Shameless script, there's a little asterisk that says, per set policy, there are no sides provided on Shameless. Please come prepared and know all of your lines. And that was from Bill Macy. So to
That's
have
fantastic.
that kind of like those two things sets the tone for everybody.
When William H. Macy at the top is doing that, that's fantastic. That's really good leadership.
Right, because these things, like especially if you're shooting in a foreign location or something like that, these things can feel like you're in some Joseph Conrad experience with Mr. Kurtz at the end of the Congo. You know, it's like they can turn weird and dark really quick. And
for
then
sure.
And then no BS. I mean, the film we just shot with Danica, I think, was another example of that, because the number one really sets the tone for everybody.
You do have a movie coming out this weekend. It's not your first movie with Danica. No. You did one a few years back. Was that one, that Christmas movie 2017, was that your first Hallmark?
That was my first Hallmark.
And how did that end up coming to be?
I was doing a play. I needed money. They approached me, and like usually I had said no, because I think there's an idea about what made for TV seasonal movies are, right?
Yeah.
There's kind of an idea, and there's a prejudice that exists in the acting community, but it was the first time that I had read one of those scripts that actually had conflict in it, because as I'm sure you guys can attest, a lot of these things are so formulaic that there's not a lot of internal conflict, and there's not a lot of stuff that characters have to kind of get over. And that can be pleasing, and that can be like a nice palliative, but I wanted something that had a little bit of conflict in it. And so when I read Coming Home for Christmas, I was like, yeah, okay, I can play this guy. And then of course the director wanted me to just smile more when I got to set. I was like, I am playing the stick in the mud. You have to let me just please let me just play this part. And luckily I had Danica there to serve as my interpreter between me and the director. But it was fun. And I think the thing that I really love about these films is that you can go to work and play, and especially being like a number one or number two on these movies, you can go and like, you can be as creative as you want to be, because you can do what Christopher Plow is doing, which is like, I'm going to do a subtle Jimmy Stewart impression throughout this, because you can kind of experiment. You can get away with stuff that you might not be able to if you were shooting, like a Marvel movie or something like that.
And then in 2020 did the Christmas juggernaut that is the Christmas Carousel. And I will say,
you got that script and you just wrote "Sad Boy" at the back of it. You're like, this is my.
I want to paint this picture for you. We do these preview episodes before each season of movies and talk about the movies, read the synopsis, say what we think we're going to think of the movie. Dan hates it. I love it.
It's dumb. And, we're previewing Hallmark movies.
Yeah, it's the way God intended it. And we get to the second week in December, and it is a Christmas movie about a carousel. And I say the title's a Christmas Carousel, and then I look down and it's not a Christmas Carousel. It's
Christmas Comes Twice.
Christmas Comes Twice.
Yeah.
And I was like, gosh, I could have sworn that it was a Christmas Carousel. And I get to the next weekend and I realize that Hallmark
has made two
Christmas Carousel movies, and they're playing them back-to-back weekends. Didn't see it coming. It was the year of the carousel.
It was the year of the carousel.
And then we get to your carousel movie and we see you do Sad Boy Prince.
We're all watching it together, I believe. Are we all watching it together?
We're all watching it together.
And we see this guy, who just looks like Droopy the dog in like a royal outfit on the carousel, and we rewound it. We literally rewound it. We couldn't stop laughing.
Oh my God.
It was one of my favorite moments on the show ever. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I in a rented Prince costume, nonetheless.
That's right.
That I think they had stolen from a Gilbert and Sullivan production in Vancouver. Feeling very much like a modern Major General. What did I think when I first read it? I was like, you know what I thought? I thought, you want me to play a British prince in this because the pandemic says that you can't go to Romania to shoot this? Yes, please. Why not? I was like, and because like, look, part of being an American actor too is you see all the time, you see British actors coming over here and doing American accents with varying degrees of success, right?
Correct.
So the chance to actually like do the reverse, I was like, yeah, this sounds fantastic. And I think that every other one of the Prince movies that I'd seen on Hallmark there's like a trope to these Prince movies, right? Which is like the royal is sort of like, oh, I never knew I could feel feelings before. My God, Elizabeth, are you kidding me? Is this what happiness is? Is this love? And it's like it's so pat and kind of boring that
You're like, Dad, I just want to paint. I just want to paint carousels.
Right,
Is that
right.
too much
So
to ask?
I wanted to do something completely different. I wanted to do like I don't know. I wanted to do like a prince that was just having fun all the time. That was trying to make his life about fun. And yeah, I don't know. I think some people really hated it, and some people liked it.
I thought you were British. I legit.
Yep.
It was akin to when the show House came on Fox and Hugh Laurie was House, and I was 21 or 2 years old, and I was like, man, that guy's a good actor. And I looked him up, and I was like, oh, he's that guy from Fawlty Towers. What just happened?
Oh, yeah.
He's British. Like I thought, not to that level, because he's Hugh Laurie, but like I thought you were British. Like I honestly was like, the guys, what British guy did they get to do this? So that's impressive that you were actually a Canadian.
And then you were doing a British accent at Christmas Con, and people were walking around being like, Neal's actually British.
Neal's really
right,
British,
right.
if you can believe
I
it.
decided for those who didn't come, I decided to do the entire last day at Christmas Con in character.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. May as well.
Which is a great decision.
Tell us, we got to get to rapid fire,
Yes.
but tell us about the new one with Danica. Give us a once over on it real quick.
All right, so in this one, I'm not a British prince that likes to paint, but a British prince that likes to sculpt, and it's a vast departure for me. We are.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
You're in a.
Hey, just go with me on this, Bran. All right.
Okay. Listen,
it's the
painting. I can see sculpting.
It's
I don't know,
it's the crown tilt-a-whirl, and he's got to sculpt all the tilt-a-whirls.
Yes, we're from a royal family of carnies.
And at the end, he's swinging around all sad. He's like,
we are. So Danica is a novelist who wants to find some space to write her next book, and she ends up taking a caretaking job at a big house in Colorado that belongs to this mysterious family in Europe. She's assured that this family never shows up. We do show up with my entourage a week before I'm supposed to become king, and all hell breaks loose, and I start to order her around and ask for things like tea and crumpets.
How dare you?
And yeah, we fall in love. I sculpt. It's great. You'll laugh. You'll cry.
Man,
Bob's your
now
friend.
what a reach! Now you went full method for this. You followed
I
around
did.
a sculptor in Italy, from what I understand, for a full year.
Yes. So
It's a sculpt along.
Giacomo was his name.
Giacomo, yeah.
Giacomo. I went to a small town in Umbria and learned how to sculpt owls in the traditional American way. But not only that, I also married into an obscure Romanian royal family, and I was there for about 5 years. It's funny, actually. I was kind of mid transition while we were shooting Christmas Carousel, which was why I was a bit sad because I was missing my family back in Romania. But I did go full method.
I've heard from numerous people, but it's kind of under the radar. Neal Bledsoe is the Daniel Day-Lewis of Canadian anchor babies. Yeah. I heard that, and it turns out that's accurate.
I mean, look, I am family friendly entertainment's answer to Daniel Day-Lewis. Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. You see a lot of effort in my performances.
That's fantastic. I love it.
So yeah, that airs this Saturday on the GAC.
That's right.
It's a great American country.
If you say so.
That's what they say.
Are we ready for the rapid fire?
I think we're ready for the rapid fire.
I love it.
Great American country.
That's right.
3 questions
from each of us.
You have to answer as quickly and as honestly as possible. They can be about anything or nothing.
Okay.
Usually about nothing. Dan?
The best meal that you've ever had in the city.
In New York City?
Yep.
I would say Graham Street Tavern. That's sitting at the bar.
Have you ever accidentally thrown away something? And if so, what'd you do about it?
Love, and I got her back, baby.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
Man,
that's beautiful.
That's deep. Your most memorable movie theater going experience?
The time I saw my dad crying at the end of Cool Runnings.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. When
he
the guy
cried.
Wait to go to Jamaica.
That's
I
right.
See the tears.
Switzerland, and he's on the sideline with a sweater.
East Germany, actually.
East Germany? Oh, I thought it was.
He was like West German or East German. He said, "Wait to go
Jamaica." Oh, I remember.
I looked around and I was like, "This movie's dumb," and my dad just tears. But he got me back because I started crying during a Baywatch episode.
Well, that's worse. That's worse because like Cool Runnings, how dare you say that's a bad movie? Feel the rhythm, feel the run. Get on up. It's bobsled time. How dare you?
Kiss
sir.
my lucky Eggman.
That's right.
Which Mighty Ducks movie is the best? 1, 2, or 3?
Number 1.
Interesting. Yeah, 2 is the best.
Two's
You're wrong.
the best.
Listen,
I think
Neal.
I've only seen number 1, so
I've got.
Okay. Well,
Neal.
good.
Neal.
Put it on
Do
the
I need to
calendar.
watch number 2?
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna have a Mighty Ducks-a-thon. You
officially
Fantastic.
moved
Who's
from
the
millennial
evil
to
coach in Mighty Ducks 2.
Team Iceland.
Yeah, Iceland.
They go. There's I don't know if you know this. A Pee Wee
Junior Olympics.
Junior Olympics.
It's Junior Olympics.
Wait. And the coach is Karsten Norgard.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. Who is a friend of mine from Man in the High Castle.
Wow.
That's
oh my
fantastic.
gosh. You got to talk
Now
to him
we
about
have to
Team
watch it.
Iceland. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Neal.
Let's
Okay,
go
so I'm
shake
changing
their
number 2.
hands. Yeah, you got to
number
watch
2.
it.
That's right. Good answer. Good answer. Keenan Thompson's in there. It's knuckle puck time.
It's knuckle puck
come
time.
on, man.
Are you kidding
You
me?
can't stop the knuckle puck. Get out of here. Neal, I've got twin 5-year-old boys. I've never been to the Pacific Northwest. Barring COVID not getting out of hand, I am going to Seattle for vacation in the springtime. I'm literally doing it.
Yeah, sure you
I'm really doing it. I'm going to be in Olympic National Park in a cabin for a few days, and then I'm going to be in Seattle, literally 3 blocks from Pike's Place for 4 days. Pike Place, whatever it is. You know, I'm from the South. Give me a break.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Tell me the things that are musts.
Okay, you're gonna go get lunch of oysters and crab at Chinook's. You're gonna have IPAs down at Pike's Brewery. It'll be the summertime, so maybe try to catch a game at Safeco Field, or I guess what is it now, T-Mobile Park.
T-Mobile, that's right.
You should take the ferry to Bainbridge, which comes in and out of downtown. Maybe try to, actually, here's what my old man did. And this is, I think, actually a pretty solid move. You should rent a little rental boat on Lake Union, get a bucket of fried chicken and a bottle of champagne. And it's like, I think he got like Kirkland champagne. So it's not expensive.
The good stuff. Yeah.
There's KFC and Kirkland champagne. I had brought a girlfriend home to meet him. And that was how he welcomed us to the city.
Man.
And then
that's how he could afford that boarding school.
Exactly. It's like I've been saving money by drinking Kirkland champagne all my life just to send him to a boarding school.
That's right.
And then I try to go out to Mount Rainier.
Fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
You mentioned this really quickly, and I just want to go back to it. You, when you were auditioning for art schools, you mentioned your audition for Juilliard was quick and
real bad.
Yeah.
I want to hear what happened. It's Juilliard.
Well, I did my Jimmy Stewart impression.
And you were like, it went bad there. Let's do it again.
I don't know. I was just like, I was just tense and trying to I think I chose Shakespeare. I think I was doing Benedict from Much Ado About Nothing. And I was like, I do much wonder how one man, seeing how another man is such a fool when he dedicates his behaviors to love. And they were like, thank you very much. Come sit. And I was like, huh?
I can turn BBC radio anytime I want to. Look at this.
Man, I love it.
Dude, fantastic. Neal, you've been unbelievable, man. This has been great.
You guys were great.
You have to come back and do this again. The fans in the Double Decker chat who get to watch this live before we actually put it out, after we edit it and stuff, they got they're loving it as well. You're wonderful, sir. Please, you're welcome back here anytime.
Thank you very much, Dan. Brent, may I make a suggestion?
Please.
Please. We're only a few years into this.
Let's do it. A watch along with Neal Bledsoe.
Yeah.
Neal, if we're not,
I will invite Karsten.
Oh boy, dude, I'm just telling you right now.
Don't you say it if you're not going to deliver, Neal.
I'm just telling you.
I'll do it,
baby. I got chills down the back of my spine, Neal.
I don't know. I this is not. I'm not making this up. The amount of times we have tried to figure out a way to start a Mighty Ducks podcast.
I'm serious,
but we can't figure out a good.
There's not a good angle, but this is the angle.
To rewatch the movies with different cast members.
I mean, come on, man. The first domino's Karsten. This is it.
I gotta go because I gotta go like vision board this. Neal, a movie this Saturday. Can't wait. Until then, may we be the first. Oh, here we go. May we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast. It's presented by Philo TV. It's produced by Brandon Gray and recorded live in, Greenville, South Carolina. Set decor is by Plum at Haywood Mall. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on Bramble Jam Podcast Network, you can go to bramblejampodcast.com.